I met Daniel during our final year of college. He was confident, charming, and had a way of making the ordinary feel special. We weren't just in love. We were best friends, partners in every sense. From late-night coffee runs to dreaming about our future in a tiny dorm room, we shared everything. When we got married a year later, nothing felt rushed. It felt right. Our little apartment was modest, but it overflowed with laughter, spontaneous dance-offs in the kitchen, and endless conversations about everything and nothing. We'd stay up late, wrapped in blankets, whispering about the life we were building together. Those early years were golden. Even when work got hectic or money was tight, we found peace in each other. Daniel supported my career moves, celebrated my small wins, and reminded me to chase what made me feel alive. I made him his favorite meals when he was stressed and encouraged him through tough times at his job. We had our rhythm, imperfect but real. People around us often said we looked like the kind of couple who had it all figured out. And I believed we did. But slowly, things started to change, not with a bang, but in small, almost invisible ways. He started spending more time on his phone, less time asking how my day was. The jokes became fewer, the silences more frequent. I brushed it off as stress. Life happens, right? You grow older, you grow busy. That's what I told myself when the kisses became routine, and our talk started feeling like checklists. I remember one evening in particular. It was a Friday night, and I had cooked his favorite meal, chicken parmesan with a side of roasted vegetables. He barely touched it. His eyes stayed fixed on the television, his responses curt. After we cleared the dishes, he turned to me with a look I hadn't seen before. Part hesitation, part guilt. He said, "We need to talk." My heart skipped a beat, not out of fear, but from instinct. I could tell something serious was coming. I tried to smile, to brush it off with a light comment, but he didn't flinch. His tone was calm but deliberate, and the weight in his voice pulled me down. I wanted to run, to rewind time, but all I could do was nod and listen. As he inhaled deeply, I knew this wasn't going to be just another one of our deep talks about dreams or worries. There was something in his eyes that told me this wasn't just about him. Whatever he was about to say, it would change everything. Daniel looked at me, his fingers interlocked, voice steady, but stripped of warmth. He said he wasn't sure how to explain it, but something in him had been shifting. At first, I thought he was going to talk about a career crisis or maybe depression. But then came the words I never imagined hearing. "There's someone I've been talking to." My chest tightened instantly. He clarified, no physical affair, just messages, conversations, moments shared that felt intimate, but not in the way people might assume. He kept emphasizing, "It's not what you think," as if that would soften the blow. But I was already spiraling. He told me it started innocently. Someone from work he connected with over shared frustrations, someone who listened and got him in a way he hadn't felt in a while. He said they talked about everything from deadlines to childhood memories. It started during late hours, after long meetings, and stretched into weekends. He admitted he began looking forward to those conversations more than coming home. He never crossed any physical lines, he swore, but confessed that emotionally, he had started to drift. And not just drift, he had willingly leaned into it. I didn't interrupt. I sat still, expression frozen, eyes burning. Every word he said felt like a slow unraveling of the life I thought we'd built. I asked him how long.
He said 6 months.
6 months of deception masked as casual work talk. 6 months of coming home to me and pretending nothing had changed. My voice trembled as I asked why he didn't come to me first. He shrugged helplessly. I didn't know how to say I felt lost. I thought it would pass. But it hadn't. It grew. It took up space in his mind, in his heart, space that used to belong to us. I wanted to scream, to cry, to break something, but instead I stayed silent. The weight of his words sat between us like a wall. I asked if he loved her. He said no, but he also didn't say yes. That silence said enough. I stood up, needing air, needing distance. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I told him I needed time, not to forgive, not to forget, but to process. Everything I believed about our bond, our loyalty, our love, it all suddenly felt fragile. I didn't want revenge. I didn't even want answers. I wanted space to breathe, to think, to find myself again in the midst of the betrayal. I walked away that night, not from the marriage, but from the illusion that everything was okay. His honesty broke something open, and I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The following days were painfully quiet. We still shared the same roof, but everything between us had changed. We moved around each other like strangers, barely speaking, barely looking. The mornings felt colder, the nights heavier. He tried to carry on like things might smooth over, but I couldn't pretend. I was drowning in questions I couldn't ask out loud. Was I not enough? When did he stop choosing me? I kept replaying every moment in my head, searching for the point where we began to fall apart, but the answers never came. He stayed on the couch most nights. I didn't ask him to, but he seemed to know not to come closer. I could feel his guilt filling the silence, but it didn't bring me any comfort. Guilt is easy. It's what you feel when you're caught. Regret is different. Regret changes you. I wasn't sure which one he felt. I wasn't sure what I felt either. There was still love buried somewhere, but it was bruised, confused, quiet. I missed the way he used to hold my hand when I overthought things, the way he would pull me close during storms, as if nothing could hurt us. Now, the storm was him. I journaled obsessively, pouring out everything I couldn't say. It helped me confront the pain without letting it consume me. I wrote letters I'd never send, not to him, but to the version of us that had once felt invincible. I didn't want to lose myself while trying to understand why he lost us. I needed to separate his choices from my worth. That was the hardest part. Not blaming myself. One afternoon, he said he missed me. Not in a casual, passing way. He said it like he'd finally realized what he stood to lose. He said he wanted to fix it. He said he was willing to do anything. He looked at me like he was ready to fight for what we had. But I didn't know if I was. Trust isn't something you can glue back together. Once it's cracked, everything feels sharp. I spoke little, listened more. I watched his eyes, his hands, the way his voice shook. There was remorse, but I couldn't tell if it came from love or fear of losing comfort. I told him I needed space to decide, that rushing back into his arms wouldn't heal me. He nodded, but the sadness in his face lingered. A close friend suggested I take time away. She reminded me that clarity doesn't always come from confrontation. It often comes from solitude. I booked a weekend retreat, packed lightly, and left him a note that simply said, I need to remember who I am without this pain. As the car pulled away, I didn't cry. I felt something else, like I was finally choosing myself after too long of carrying both of us. The retreat gave me distance I didn't know I needed. I woke up to silence that didn't sting, breathed air that didn't feel heavy. I went on long walks, read books I hadn't touched in years, and let my mind drift away from everything that hurt. For the first time in months, I wasn't bracing for disappointment or decoding silence. I allowed myself to grieve, not just the betrayal, but the version of me who always put someone else's feelings before her own. I sat with that grief, and in it, I found pieces of myself I'd forgotten. When I returned home, things weren't magically better, but I was clearer. I no longer looked at Daniel through the lens of heartbreak. I looked at him as a man who made a choice, and now had to live with the weight of it. He greeted me cautiously, unsure of what I would say, unsure if I was back for good. I told him we needed one final, honest conversation. Not for closure, but for truth. I asked the hard questions. He answered with less defense this time, more humility. He admitted he never expected me to leave, never thought I would actually take that step. That was the moment, he said, that he realized he'd taken my love for granted. I told him I didn't know what the future looked like for us. I wasn't sure if forgiveness meant staying, or if healing required walking away. What I did know was this: I deserved transparency, consistency, and love without conditions. I didn't need him to be perfect. I needed him to choose me every day, not just when he was afraid to lose me. We agreed on therapy, not as a fix, but as a space to rebuild or, if needed, part with grace. The sessions were revealing. We unraveled old wounds, misaligned expectations, years of unspoken things. Some days, it brought us closer. Other days, it made me question everything again. But through it all, I stayed grounded in what I'd rediscovered, my self-worth. Months passed. Slowly, trust began to grow, not in grand gestures, but in small, honest moments. He became more present, more accountable. I stopped scanning his face for lies. I started trusting my instincts again. Whether or not we'd stay together forever no longer haunted me. I wasn't afraid of endings anymore. I knew I'd survive one if it came. One evening, during one of our now regular conversations, he looked at me, not like someone scared to lose me, but like someone finally seeing me. And I realized something. That painful conversation we had, the one that shattered everything, was also the beginning of something new. Not the same love, but a more conscious one. I didn't know if that would be enough in the long run, but for now, it was real. It was honest. And sometimes starting over isn't about going back. It's about choosing forward with open eyes. And that's exactly what I did.